Detroit Lions will rise.
What an amazing week it's been already. It is Wednesday. It is Radio Row Wednesday down in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. And tell you what, it's a captivating Super Bowl already. It hasn't even started. But what an epic time of year, time of season, the last game of the season. And, Myles Garrett's completely taken the Super Bowl hostage this week with his announcement that he wants to be traded from Cleveland. And there's actually another guy I'm going to talk about tonight, and that's Trey Hendrickson and what he said today. So he made his ways around Radio Row, and there's some interesting conversation that happened there as well. So Myles Garrett was asked pointedly about the Detroit Lions on more than a handful of occasions today, and we're going to discuss it. But first, let's take a look at what his interview was like with Rich Eisen, talking about why he wants to be traded.
Obviously, if you don't mind, we'll just jump right into what you put out on for the world to see about wanting potentially a change of address for you professionally.
Yeah.
And why did you do that, Myles Garrett?
Just felt it was time. I had taken my time after the season, kind of, relax and decompress emotionally. Want to distance myself a little bit and spend a little time talking to my family about, the really how we'd feel about this decision. I'd kind of felt this way. I wanted to make sure I was completely detached, and they felt the same way I did. And I feel like everyone's kind of on the same page, and felt like it was time to at least speak on something that was near and dear to my heart, and have a lot of love for Cleveland. But it's always for me been about continuing for championships, winning those big games, and winning Lombardis, and we haven't had the opportunity to do that, and that's all I'm asking for.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop it here for just a moment. You just heard him. He wants to compete for a Lombardi. And look, I get it. I completely understand. If I was ever in a position like that, which obviously I won't be now at 45 years old this year, but I get it. He wanted to play this game to the best of his ability, and he has done that. He has done everything that you could possibly do as a top-tier edge rusher in this game, except for one thing, and that is have consistent postseason runs and be able to get your name, in the very narrow amount of names that have won a Super Bowl. When you really think about it, there's just not a whole lot of men in this world that have won a Super Bowl, and he wants to be part of that. It's even less men part of the Hall of Fame. And to him, it's more important to compete in these games and to play at the highest game possible than it is to just go from Cleveland to Canton. We'll keep listening here, though. He's got a few good things to say.
And this bauble sitting right here in front of you right now as we're having this conversation is an interesting sort of conversation piece, because that's what the line in your statement that jumped out at me was, it wasn't about going from Cleveland to Canton.
Yeah,
it's about winning championships and this Lombardi trophy.
Yeah, it's never been about the Hall of Fame for me. It's not about money or records. It's all you remember for winning. Bringing a trophy back home to your city, whichever city that is. That's how you're remembered in your community, by your peers, your teammates, by friends, all of that. And we want to play the game and want to do things to be remembered.
So, if you don't mind me prying,
remember what he just said. Whatever city that is, his mind's made up. We know that he wants out. But the question is going to be, what is Andrew Berry going to do about it? Is he going to allow this to fester for the entire offseason into training camp? Or is he going to get what he can get and not throw a fit and just move on? The Browns are a dumpster fire. Holding hostage one of the best players to ever play the game is not the answer to fixing your ball club. Let the man go.
Who is in that inner circle with whom you had this conversation in your family? Who was it?
Oh, it was my parents. My sister, obviously my agent, my marketing agent as well. And hearing a little bit from a Cleveland or Akron native as well.
You did reach out to LeBron.
Yes, sir.
What conversation did you have with him, if you're willing to share in that?
No, just kind of what a transition looked like for him. What was his thought process going into it before he left Cleveland, and just making sure I made a logical decision, taking my time, and just trying to take away the pressure of doing something like that. I know that Cleveland, really that area, Northeast Ohio, has been his home, and it's really been it feels like my home as well.
It's your adopted home, and
Okay, I got to stop it here too, because that was kind of a shot at Rich. The Akron phrase that he said there, the words, because of what Rich had said earlier about the fact that Ohio State, Michigan have gone at it, and obviously Michigan's bested Ohio State over the last 4 or 5 seasons. But anyway, look, this is great. The fact that he reached out to LeBron, and whether you respect LeBron, like LeBron, I could care less about LeBron personally, but I think that is a smart move, right? That is a very high caliber intelligence by Myles Garrett to reach out to somebody that's been through this 1, 2, 3, 10 times, right? And someone who left Cleveland, and how, Cleveland is a fragile city, just like Detroit is a fragile city. Used to be, right? Detroit has clawed its way back and risen out of the ashes, and Cleveland is right behind it. And so this obviously is a big decision, and reaching out to players and other people, business partners, whomever, right, that have gone through these things. That was a super smart move by Myles Garrett, because that is going to give him all the more fuel to his fire to know that it's going to be okay. The city will forgive you at some point.
And I know that, and I appreciate you being open and honest, as you always are whenever we have a conversation, Myles Garrett, is that, it is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to change an opinion of whether professionally you could be as successful, where you had dreams of being the one to provide it for this fan base that adores you, and that and you adore them, and this is not a decision to be made lightly.
Yes.
And so, I guess why, when it all comes down to it, that you're willing to share, do you feel that this is what's best, that your 8 years, you've come to the conclusion it just won't be in Cleveland for you?
Like you said, it's not a decision I take lightly. It took time and lots of conversation, but just looking at kind of the trajectory of the team, talking to some of the higher ups, and I have a lot of respect for them, but I just don't think we're aligned on where the team is going in the near future. And I feel like the window for us as athletes is only so broad, and it only continues to close as years go by, with anything be able to happen on that field from day to day. And I want to be able to go out there and compete at the highest levels, day in and day out, and playing for champions, like I said.
And this came out.
So there it is. He's worried about his window. That's a big part of this. He's worried about the fact that he's getting older. He knows that he's in his prime. He's playing the best football he can absolutely play at this point, and he's not on the right team. He doesn't have the right alignment, which is a big word, right? He's not aligned with Barry and what the Cleveland Browns are trying to do right now. They're obviously going to go through a rebuild. They don't have a choice. They don't have any money. And they're upside down $27 million as of today of the cap. So this is a big decision, but I don't really think it was a hard decision. I think that it makes perfect sense for what he wants to do. I certainly respect it. And if he doesn't end up a Lion, that's okay. I honestly don't feel like that's the best move for the Lions, but let's speak on that, because he was asked very pointedly about the Detroit Lions. And that's kind of what this video is all about today, is what happened. So on Radio Row, he's making his moves, right? He's bobbing and weaving through Radio Row. He's going on all these various different interviews and talking with a lot of different people. And it just so happened that someone asked him about Detroit. And I'm just going to read this by Dave Burkett, where he says, Myles Garrett isn't ready to talk football. To talk about the possibility of being a Detroit Lion just yet. That's the answer the disgruntled all-pro pass rusher gave the Detroit Free Press as he bounced from interview to interview on Radio Row Wednesday. Garrett was making the rounds as part of a sponsorship deal, and his marketing team shooed away waiting reporters as he wrapped up an appearance with Yahoo Sports. A few minutes later, after he sat down with USA Today, the Free Press asked if he had any thoughts on potentially playing for the Lions. Here was his quote. "Not really," end quote. Garrett said this as he just walked to his next interview. And he was asked again, and then he said, quote, "Not yet," end quote. That's it. Look, this whole thing just got started. He knows that this is going to be, it's going to be a marathon, right? This is not going to be a fast race. This is going to take a long time for this deal to get done. There's a lot of moving parts and pieces to this chess match between himself and Barry and the Browns and then his next team. Is he going to want a contract extension? That's been flirted. Is he willing to just come in and play for a season, give it his best shot? And if it doesn't work out with that team, maybe he moves to the next. And I think that whatever team takes a shot on him and brings him in, hopefully they're able to negotiate something to that effect where he can be traded to another team. Because this is how it works for me with the Lions. If the Lions wanted to forego Aiden Hutchinson's extension this year, which I think was inevitable anyway, that he wasn't going to get it after the injury, that is how you have the room to do this. I think wasting the first round picks is a critical mistake, especially with what Brad Holmes has been able to do with lesser picks. And I know you'd probably argue back with me, well, hey, Will, he's done it with lesser picks. Why are you worried about a first round pick? Well, we know the talent pool in the first 32 picks is usually the best, and the top 15 is even better. And the likelihood of that player turning out to be an all-pro or a Pro Bowler or damn good football player for more than 5 seasons is much greater in the first 32 picks. So given those facts in this scenario, if you do bring him in and you are able to retrade him the next year, well, you might recoup at least half of what you invested. But if you invest a first-round pick on Myles Garrett, or 2 first-round picks is what it's probably going to take, and then you only get 1 back in 1 season out of them, and you don't win a Super Bowl, that is a failure. That's what I don't want to see happen for the Lions. But anyway, Myles Garrett, man, he's completely taken the Super Bowl by storm this week. All the ups to him, man. Big congratulations on his career so far. I hope he gets what he has coming to him, man. And I mean that in the positive way, that he's putting out a lot of positive energy. He's trying to do it the right way. He's trying to hold Cleveland in the right light, talking to the right people, doing the right thing. And now he just wants to win. He just wants an opportunity to go and compete against the best athletes on the biggest stage. And that's on Super Bowl Sunday. And I hope it happens for him. And I'm not saying that I don't want him to be in the Honolulu Blue, because I would love to see him in the blue. Berries on a Sunday in a Super Bowl. But whatever the case may be, whenever it happens, when it happens, if it happens, we'll be right here supporting you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Send this to a friend. Every 100 subscribers, we're giving away a signed Panay Sewell or Chris Spielman helmet. Between now and Super Bowl Sunday, we want our race to 10,000 subscribers with you to come to fruition. Take care. Go on Pride. Go Detroitlions. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Detroit Lions will